We are preparing, you guys are preparing to join this wonderful club called marriage. And so that club requires, or at least I think it should require, a high level of investment on our parts so that we can function in that environment with a high level of success. We're going to spend actually 2 weeks on the subject of communication. And if you have read your book, I like the way they title it, Can You Say What You Mean and Understand What You Say? Understand what you hear, I'm sorry. Can you say what you mean and understand what you hear? I like the way the question is posed, and I think all of us would be, we would just by a show of hands, and I'm not going to ask for that, but I think on the inside all of us feel that we can say what we mean. I want us to enter these 2 weeks of lessons on communication, and those of you who are in video land, I want you to, just for now, and some of you are married, some of you have had bad communication, some of you have maybe misunderstandings, and some of you maybe feel like you're ready to give up, but just for these 2 weeks, I'm going to ask all of us to try to have a clean slate. Now, especially for those of us who are not married, I think it's easy for us to take upon this responsibility, or this thing that we're asking for the next 2 weeks, is to have a clean slate. What do I mean by a clean slate? I don't believe that you're sitting next to a person that you know for a shadow of a doubt does not want to communicate with you or does not want to understand you. I don't think that you'd be sitting next to that person. And so when I say entering into it with a clean slate, I really want us to be open-minded, because this thing called communication, there's more to it than just talking. Oftentimes, as a pastoral counselor, I will counsel couples. I will get their file, and one of their issues is communication. And they'll give the intake coordinator saying, well, he doesn't communicate or she doesn't communicate. They don't, and so then they come into the office and they begin to share, well, he doesn't talk or she doesn't talk. And although I believe that talking is a form, and I emphasize the word form of communication, it is not the only form of communication. There are several ways of transportation, 2 of which most people use. Most people will use the transportation vehicle called a car. And most people will use the vehicle of transportation called an airplane. 2 forms of communication. Now we can list more: plane, boat, helicopter, and the list could go on. Several ways of transportation, but 2 primary ways of transportation that most people use are, it's the car and it's the airplane. Modes of transportation. And I want to say that modes of communication, one of them is talking. If you get a hold of any book on communication, they'll probably give you these numbers. 55% of communication is nonverbal. It's the look. It's the shaking of the head. It's the list of the tongue and the lip combined together to make a noise that you and I can interpret as disgust. You don't want to hear me. You say this thing over and over and over again. 55% of communication is nonverbal. About another 35% is tone of voice. So I can say, I love you. Yeah, I love you. Didn't I just say the same thing? But the tone, and I kind of put a little bit of nonverbal with my eyes. So that's a form of communication, the tone. And then the other part is content, which is about 7%. Now, I would always think that the content should be the highest number. But the content can be swallowed up and can be killed with the tone of voice or the nonverbal. And so we're going to talk about communication for the next 2 weeks. And I think in these 2 weeks, I think we're going to lay a pretty good foundation. Communication is a learned behavior. It's a learned art form that takes two willing people to learn how to put their feelings aside, know how to use this thing called timing. So we're going to talk all about that. But like I said, I want us to start out with a clean slate, because the mere fact that you're here, sitting next to your partner, says you believe that this person who I'm sitting next to wants to understand me. They want to communicate with me. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting next to them and you wouldn't be preparing to marry them. If you were, then we have some other concerns that would probably need to be addressed. But unfortunately, after we get married and after we start living together, after we start navigating life together, sometimes we run into the emotional roadblocks and we feel that we don't understand each other. We feel like we're not communicating. And so we're going to try to explore, we're going to try to uncover some good foundational truths that I believe will be a blessing to all of us. Communication is a choice, much like love is. And so, you know what, when you hear this lesson or the title of this lesson, can you say what you mean? We'd all say, well, I always say what I mean. No, I want you to take that statement, can I say what I mean? I want us to look at it from the framework, am I really getting across? A good teacher in the public school or the private sector, one of their main responsibilities is to communicate. Now, I know in college, you got to get it. I don't have to know how to, the professor don't have to know how to communicate in college. But everything under college, now I do believe that the professor should know how to communicate, but your learning now is your responsibility, and whether you get it or not is not predicated upon how I deliver. And with that being said, sometimes we unknowingly convey to one another, it's not my responsibility how I give it, it's your responsibility how you get it. And that has dissolved and crumbled and crippled millions of marriages to date. No, I do believe that the sender of the message has a responsibility to try to send it to the best of his or her ability, and equally, the receiver of the message has, I believe, an equal responsibility to try to understand what they're hearing. And so in 28 years of marriage, we've learned each other's communication style. There are a variety of communication styles in here. And here's what we could probably tell you. In the course of these 28 years of marriage, our style is basically the same, but it has changed from time to time from the different seasons that we're in. And so I'm not saying that to say that we're playing tricks on each other, or that you guys will be playing tricks on each other, or that you're trying to make it more complicated than it is. But sometimes just this journey of life will cause us sometimes to, you know, change a little bit, alter a little bit how we communicate. But the same love that got us here, the same love and commitment that had us go out on all the dates that we went out on, begin to use some of that same commitment to understand what's going on when there is a little seasonal change. You know, right now, it's summertime. The temperature has dropped. If you were to look at the thermostat, you know, on that air conditioning unit, or portion of that air conditioning, you would see the temperatures drop, but it's muggy. But it doesn't, it happens occasionally during the summer. And I use that analogy to say that from time to time, we're going to have muggy times. The emotional humidity within our relationship, within my own personal self, is going to be sticky. And when it's sticky, then my partner sometimes is not going to want to clean. You're sticky. I thought that was a pretty good analogy.
I thought it was too.
You thought it was too? Okay.
Yeah.
Good, good. And so we're going to watch the first portion of the DVD. But once again, I want us to go into it. Yes.
On that note, let me just say what I was thinking.
Okay.
And you said it was good. I thought it was a good example too. I was just thinking of yesterday. He was saying it's like it's okay, but today it's muggy. You know, yesterday when I came home, we just got some blinds in our family room. But for years, we've been there about 3 years, we had no blinds there. We could just look up to the mountains, just all clear. I kind of like it open like that, but we just got blinds because we have neighbors up there now, so we had to put some blinds. Well, I love natural light. When I get up, I like to let everything open and let the sun come in. So when I got up, yes, he was up before me. He left the blinds closed, so it was all dark in the family room. Then he had a wedding, and I had somewhere to be, and when I came back, he was back in the family room, but he only opened the blinds just a little bit, just let a little bit of light in. That irritated me. Just something simple as that. So usually that's our time. Our kids were gone, and they were going to be gone for the rest of the evening. Usually that's our time to, you know, hang out in the family room, watch our favorite shows, you know, watch all the shows that we taped, and that's our time to bond. But I was like, I can't sit in the family room with just a little bit of light, and I need it all in. So I just, plus I was tired, and that's another muggy, you know, that will influence your communication. That will influence how you feel about each other if you're tired or hungry or something like that. I was really sleepy, and I just, when I went in there and saw those blinds like that, I mean, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like, let the sun shine in, you know. I just went to my room, you notice. I went to my room, closed the door, I went to bed because I was just sleepy. I really just needed sleep. But our communication, that was a good time for us to kind of, you know, bond and all of that. But just, you know, you communicate. Sometimes you're just not going to want to be around each other sometimes.
Right.
Believe it or not, you know. So, I mean, that happens. But we're good today, though.
Yes.
And there's no sun today.
And see, I didn't know that irritated her. Now, she does like, let the sun shine in. But I didn't know, you know, so I could say peace out and see you, but I wouldn't want to be you, you know.
Yeah, he didn't even.
But now, see, I don't take. See, and it's just over the years, and I'm just wired like this. Up until that point, to me, we went out, we went to the show, and so we were enjoying ourselves. And so I don't read into anything any more than what it is. I could tell that she was tired. So I just chalked going to the bedroom as her being tired. I didn't take it personal. Wow, okay, so the movies that I like to watch, I can just drown myself in. You know.
And the flipping of the TV. Normally I can tolerate that. If it's our time to bond and, you know, he will have that remote, he'll flip from HDTV, then he'll flip to the sports channel. Then he'll flip to the Mecum auction. Pick a show and stay on it. So that was two things I didn't want to deal with. It was dark in there, and I didn't want him flipping. So I went to my room and I put on, you know, my show, and then I eventually went to sleep about 8 o'clock. I was sleepy. So, but you just, you know, over the year, you just learn each other. It's kind of like the temperature, you know, in the room. You know, you understand. Is it a good time to talk? Is it a good time to, you know, okay, he's tired. Oh, we can wait on that. You know, just to learn behavior.
And guys, this is not scripted. So this is the first time I'm hearing it just like you guys.
You'll know next
Now,
time.
I like that to say that even after 27 years, it doesn't mean that longevity equals you will know every single thing about each other all the time. And I think it's good for you guys to hear that it's okay. Now, if it's a pattern of this, if this is the pattern, that's where your alarm should go off. When this is a pattern, will it happen? Yes. How you interpret it is key. Is key. So that's what we're going to talk about. Yes,
and
Angel.
how to respond to it, because
That's good.
you know, you knew that she was tired, and so you didn't take it personally, like you said, her not wanting to hang out, and she went to the room, and so sometimes we can take things personally, not looking at the whole picture, and assume that, oh, she's attacking me now. What did I do? Why is she having an attitude with me? Not thinking about the fact that, well, she's tired and there's other things going on that's not even pertaining to you. You know, just like I have a friend that called me the other day. Her mom is really, really ill. She's in the hospital and she's nearing the end of life. So my friend is really having a difficult time with that. And so her husband forgot to take out the trash before he went to work. And she called